Now, another reason why leaders and managers should be investing in developing emotional intelligence is the growing focus and attention on psychosocial hazards. In the UK, we do not yet have any specific legislation, but only last year in Australia, they amended the Work Health and Safety Act to explicitly include psychosocial risks, placing a legal obligation on employers to manage psychosocial hazards. So it's only a matter of time, personally, I think, before we get similar laws, tweaks to our health and safety laws introduced in the UK. Psychosocial hazards are hazards that arise or are related to the design or management of work, the working environment, or workplace interactions and relationships, any of which may cause psychological or physical harm. So here's just a few examples of some of the psychosocial hazards that can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, and other health issues. Now, many people believe that psychosocial hazards and psychological safety are the same thing. And many organisations claim that they have psychological safe working environment. But psychosocial hazards and psychological safety are not the same thing. They are two very different things. They are, however, linked because you cannot have psychological safety unless your psychosocial hazards are managed. So if we look at this model of psychosocial hazards and psychological safety, which was created by Ashley Smith from EMA Consulting in Australia, you can clearly see the difference between psychological safety in the green and the psychosocial hazards in the red. When psychological hazards are managed, an environment of psychological safety can actually be created. However, if the hazards are left unmanaged, it becomes actually impossible to create that environment of psychological safety. When psychosocial hazards are left unmanaged, we see these destructive or toxic kind of cultures starting to emerge. Now, having higher levels of emotional intelligence and human skills are actually key when we're talking and looking at things like this. So, for example, having managers and leaders who see the importance of and have the skills and confidence to step in and address low-level psychosocial hazards, such as incivility, instead of just turning a blind eye to it and letting it go. Managers need to be willing and confident and have the skills to be able to step in at these kind of low levels of psychosocial hazards. The other thing is that organisations also need to have and communicate clarity around what is an acceptable standard of behaviour, rather than just assuming that, everyone knows how to be civil. Well, in today's diverse, multicultural, multi-generational workplaces, what is acceptable and regarded as civil behaviour to you may not be acceptable to another person. Therefore, the organisational values and standards must be made very clear to everybody, and then they must be upheld. So in reality, what we tend to see is that many managers tend not to intervene until they see those kind of more severe unresolved conflict, bullying and harassment, rather than at those low levels of incivility and disrespect.